Hey everyone, today I'm going to be ranking all of the weapons in Enter the Gungeon as of Aforel to Arms, which is the latest and final update for Enter the Gungeon. So the list of guns here should be the final list of weapons in the game, and as you can see there are quite a few guns, so I'll try not to take too long. An overview of how the tiers work, so I'm going to be ranking each gun individually by its strength, not including any of the synergies that it has, unless the synergies are relevant and like you can get them very frequently, so they're very common synergies. And then explaining the tiers. So S tier here are guns that are just completely overpowered and they can carry your run by themselves. A tier guns are weapons that are pretty strong, but they're not run defining. B tier guns, weapons that are above average, weapons that you're very happy to have. C tier guns, weapons that are average. D tier weapons, weapons that are below average, so they're not quite as good. E tier weapons, weapons that are either really weak or just aren't very useful. And then F tier guns are generally weapons that you do not like seeing or they're just not as useful. But it is worth noting that every gun in this game is usable and useful to an extent. And every weapon listed here is weapons that I don't really mind using. I'm not really too picky about weapons, but that being said, certain weapons are just absolutely insane and some weapons are just not very useful. So without further ado, let's get into it. So our first weapon here is the A key. So I'm actually going to put this weapon in A tier. So this weapon is pretty good because obviously it's infinite keys. Even if you're out of ammo, by the way, you can still use this to unlock things. If you just press the standard unlock button, if you have no ammo, it'll still work. But unfortunately, this weapon, while it is an infinite source of keys, and that's very strong, power-wise, it is just a normal AK. So while this is like a very good utility weapon, it's just not very good for bosses or rooms. And you never really want to use this on either. You want to just save this for the keys. Third-party controller. So this weapon got added in the latest update, and I honestly don't like this weapon at all. So what it does is it just controls the enemies, and it lets you take control of them and use them as allies. But I don't really like this weapon because it doesn't really do any damage, and it's kind of slow. It doesn't really have any impact when you use it, and it's a cool idea, but I just don't really like this weapon. So I'm gonna put this in E tier, which sucks because it's an A tier chest weapon. So it really sucks if you get this. Alien sidearm, so a nice Halo reference. This weapon is, I would say, average. It's average because you can pretty frequently get the master round synergy. And for those of you that don't know, if you get 2 master rounds with this weapon, it becomes fully automatic. The weapon is okay. The damage is decent. I'm just gonna put it in average. I think this is 38 special. This weapon's below average. Actually, I would say it's an E tier because it's kind of just like a convict starter. It's really not anything special. But I mean, it's okay. The comic starter is pretty good. Anvil, this weapon's pretty good. I'm gonna put it in A tier, I think actually. It's one of the lower A tiers. This weapon is really strong because the knockback it pierces multiple enemies and it can hit the same enemy twice. If it knocks them back, it can hit them again, and it is pretty high damage. So I'm gonna put this in A tier. Golden gun. This gun's pretty good. It does insanely high damage. I think it's 100 per shot. The ammo count's not very high, so it's really only good for bosses, but that's fine. I mean, it does good damage. The op. This gun is also pretty strong. It has perfect accuracy and really long range. It does great damage too. So I mean, it's an A tier. Bait launcher. So I'm gonna put this gun in B tier. It's pretty high. The only reason it's B tier is because it takes a long time to charge, and a lot of times if you're clearing rooms with it, then you want that speed for killing like the high priority enemies. So otherwise, it's pretty good. Balloon gun. This weapon's above average. This gun does insane damage. The only risk is that if you take damage, it gets popped. But I mean, this gun is really good, and it just has a really high ammo count. It's really ammo efficient as well. Banana. I would say this is average. This weapon is decent at clearing rooms out. It just takes a little bit to get going, and sometimes the ricochet bananas just don't hit them. Barrel. This gun is above average, I think. The stun effect is really good because a lot of enemies, pretty much every enemy in the game can be stunned, and the water effect is pretty useful as well. So I'm gonna put this in B tier. It does good damage too. Beehive, I would say this weapon's average. It's average because it does okay damage, but you can't really target the enemies that you want. So I'm gonna put it in C. Betrayer shield, I'm gonna put this in B. It does good damage. You can use it for a shield that absorbs quite a few bullets. It's pretty nice. Big iron, this gun is on the higher end of average, I would say. It's pretty good. It does, I think, 21 damage a shot if you hit all 3, which is pretty nice. But there's better shotguns out there. Big shotgun, I would say, is an A tier. It does great damage. It has a really cool thing where if you reload next to Shotgunkin, you actually get ammo back. So it actually has a lot more ammo than you would think, and the damage is pretty great. The explosions kill bullets. It's pretty good for room clearing and bosses. I would say it's an A tier. AC-15. So this gun is pretty good. If you have armor, then it does a lot of damage. If you don't have armor, it's not very good, obviously. But if you have armor, which is generally a lot of the time, and if you're robot always, this gun is actually pretty strong. It has really good accuracy, fire rate, or not fire rate, range, and it just does a lot of damage. Alien engine. So this weapon is like kind of controversial because a lot of people don't like this weapon because it's basically a melee weapon, but at the same time it has insane ammo and it has, I think it's the highest damage beam in the game. So if you know how to use alien engine, this weapon is probably like B or even A tier. And if you don't know how to use it, it's probably like F or E tier. But assuming that you know how to use this weapon, it's really strong. And I'm gonna put this in B tier for now. The AK, is really strong. Um, it's above average for sure. I wouldn't say it's like A tier, but it's really good. It's just it's a very standard, just good rate of fire weapon. It does great DPS. It's just a very all-purpose good weapon. Black hole gun. So this weapon is S tier for sure. I don't even need to talk about this weapon. It's just insane. Blasphemy, I'm gonna put in A tier. Blasphemy, if you have the hearts for it and you get the projectile, is just insane. This is basically the only reason why Bullet is insanely overpowered, and it's just crazy. I mean, this weapon does pretty insane damage. It has infinite ammo, and like the utility effect is just really strong. Just being able to remove bullets whenever you want. Blooper, this gun is good. It does high damage. Blunderbuss, this gun is pretty bad, I would say. I actually would put this in F tier. The only reason you'd use this is for the knockback, but I mean, it's so bad. Bow, this gun is pretty bad. It's really slow. It does like okay damage if you fully charge it. It's just like, it just takes way too long. It's just not good. Boxing glove, I would say is below average. It's useful, but you have to get a little too close to enemies, and it's not really useful on bosses at all because again you have to get really close to them, and you can't really use the super at all, unless they summon enemies, which is like the beholster and like trigger twins. Like that's like basically it. You can't really use this gun at all. It's okay for rooms though. Brick breaker, I would say it's average. It does decent damage. It bounces a lot. It's good at clearing rooms. That's about it. BSG, this gun's S tier. You get 25 shots, I think, and it just full clears rooms. It's just really strong. Bubble blaster, I'm gonna put this in D tier. I don't think this gun is very good. It's really hard to use, and I don't think the damage is like that amazing for what it does. Bullet bore, I'm gonna put this in B tier. It's a pretty good weapon. It stuns enemies and does a decent amount of damage. I would use it as like a room opener, but that's about it. It's just like okay. Bullet, this gun's pretty average. It does okay damage. Not really much to be said here. Bundle of Wands, I think this gun's pretty good. I want to put in B tier. The transform effect is really strong, and you actually get it pretty often. Even if you don't get it, this gun does like decent damage on its own. So, Abyssal Tentacle, this gun goes in A. It's pretty safe to use. You can use it through walls. It does good damage, so you can use it on bosses too if you don't have like a better weapon. It's just pretty nice. Buzzkill, this weapon's pretty good. It's like a better brick breaker. Not really much to be said here. Cactus, it's pretty average. If you get a synergy for Cactus, it's pretty insane, but the synergies are kind of rare. So for now, like just the base strength, I would say Cactus is it's okay. The damage is alright, but it could be better. Camera, this gun is average. It's just like weaker at BSG. I mean, it does good damage. If it's a really big room, you can clear enemies really fast. It's just a little slow, and if you need to, like, if there's any really high damage or high health enemies, this gun is not gonna really help you at all. Casey. So this gun is a pretty big meme in the community. This gun is like, I would say it's a B tier. So Casey is like pretty good. It has infinite ammo. It does good damage. The only problem is that like, it's kind of slow to use, and like the risk of Casey is that obviously if you're a good player, you can use Casey a lot better. But at the end of the day, it's still more risky to use than say other guns. I would say Casey is kind of like just a worse alien engine in every way, except for the fact that it can reflect bullets. But I mean, alien engine just does looking more damage, so I would just say alien engine's better. Cat Claw, this gun's pretty good. So the only downside of Cat Claw is it takes a while sometimes for the the needles to explode. But other than that, it's pretty good damage. I like this gun. Chamber gun. So I'm gonna put chamber gun in A tier. Chamber gun is really strong. It's a new gun in the latest update, and what it does is it has different forms based on what floor you're on. And on certain floors, like bullet hell for example, this weapon is just crazy. Like the bullet hell form is just absolutely broken. Um, you kind of have to use it to see what I mean, but on it's just like a decent gun in general. Like this gun is just pretty good. If you're doing bullet hell runs though, this gun is probably S tier honestly. But in general, I would say it's an A. Charge shot, this gun's pretty bad. I'm gonna put it in D tier. It's not useless. It does okay damage, but I mean, it just takes too long to use, and I don't really like it. Charm bow, I'm also gonna put in D tier. Um, the fully charge effect takes quite a long time to charge up, and all it really does is charms one enemy. So I mean, it's not really high impact. I guess if you don't have anything better, I would use it at the start of the room. But other than that, it's not that great. Cobalt hammer. So I'm gonna put this in A tier. This gun does really high damage. The only downside is that it kind of doesn't really have that much ammo. So it's okay other than that. Cold 45. This gun's pretty good. So cold the freeze effect is really strong in this game. So I'm gonna put this in B tier, and it does pretty good damage. Colt's 1851. I don't know the exact name. This gun is pretty good. I would say it's low B slash high C. I'm gonna put it in C tier. It's a pretty good pistol. It does good damage. Commando is a B tier for sure. This gun is really strong. The missiles are really good. It just doesn't have that much ammo. You can use it for both bosses and rooms. If there's like a scary enemy that you want to kill pretty quickly, you can just shoot 2 rockets. It's pretty great. Combined rifle. I'm gonna put this weapon in B tier. This weapon is one of the best B tiers, I would say. The regular machine gun form is good damage, and the ball form can pretty much one-shot most normal enemies, and it does insane damage to bosses as well. And the fact that it pierces enemies and bounces can hit like multiple enemies at once, it's really strong. Composite gun, this gun is S tier. I mean, it does insane damage. It has free blanks. There's really not much there's really not much else to be said about it. It's just really strong. Compressed air tank, this gun is great. It does high damage. It's pretty efficient. I like it. Corsair, I want to put this in E tier. This gun is just like, it's really bad. It's really hard to hit enemies consistently with it, and it's just not good. Crescent crossbow, I'm gonna put this in B. It's decent. It has good AoE, I guess, but it's a little random, and it could do more damage. I'm gonna put this in B. Crestfaller, I think also a B tier. It's decent. It does okay damage. I think it slows them. It freezes them, but I mean, it's a little slow, I would say. Crossbow, I want to put this in C tier. It's okay. It's the hunter starter, and it does pretty nice damage, but it falls off pretty hard. It's just an okay weapon, I'd say. Crown of guns, I'm gonna put this in E tier because it does have a lot of ammo, so it's not completely useless, but it shoots so randomly that it's kind of hard to justify using this weapon over just any normal weapon. I'll put this in E tier. Dark marker. So this weapon is like kind of like BSG and composite gun combined. It's just that it takes so long to charge that I don't really like this weapon, and it's kind of just like pretty bad, I would say, for an S tier. I'm gonna put it in C tier. Actually, I'm gonna put it in B tier because it can full clear rooms. It's really good as an opener, I guess, but it's just like a way worse BSG in my opinion. Deckard, this pistol is pretty good. I want to put it in B tier. It does good damage. It just has really low ammo, and you have to reload so often because it only has 2 shots in the magazine. So yeah, it's a B tier for me. Demon Head, also a B tier. It's a pretty strong beam. It sets enemies on fire, so it has good DPS. B tier. I think this is Derringer. This gun's F tier. It only shoots twice, and it doesn't do that much damage. I think this is Devolver. So I don't like this weapon at all because all the time when you shoot an enemy a few times, they'll get devolved on like the last bullet, and they'll heal to full HP as like a shotgun kin, and those are pretty tanky. So I don't like this weapon at all. I'm gonna put it in D tier. D-pad. This weapon is honestly, I want to put this weapon in S tier. For a variety of reasons. The first is that you get a grappling hook, and you can use that to steal from shops. That is like a very powerful effect, just being able to steal things. But also, when you run out of ammo, you also get generally for my anecdotally, I usually get like an A or an S tier chest. So this is like basically free steals, and then you get a reroll into like another S tier or A tier item. So I mean, this weapon is pretty good. I'm gonna put an S tier. Definitely one of the lower NS tiers though, just because it's not good on its own necessarily. I mean, it's pretty good. The steal effect is great, but you're really using this to get a different S tier. You're trying to get like one of these. So I'm gonna still put this in S tier though because you get your own choice really. Disintegrator. So I'm gonna put this weapon in A tier. So this weapon is pretty good. It just takes a long time to charge up. So on bosses where you have to roll a lot, it's not really that useful. You're better off just using like a normal good DPS weapon. But it's certainly not bad at all. It's a decent gun. Dragonfire. I'm gonna put this in B tier. It's a decent weapon, but it doesn't do as much damage as you'd think for an A tier weapon. The fact that it sets enemies on fire is pretty nice, but it could do more. Dueling Laser, I'm gonna put this in A tier. This weapon is pretty great. Infinite ammo. It just has a charge time. I really like this weapon. It's one of my hero weapons actually. It's just you walk into a room, you shoot it off, then you switch to some other guns. It's just really good at killing the first few enemies that are dangerous in a room, or if you're on bosses, you can use it for that extra DPS. It's pretty great. Dueling Pistol. This weapon's garbage. It's just garbage. I mean, it's terrible. Dungeon Eagle. This weapon is like terribly inaccurate, but the damage isn't even that good. So I want to put this in E tier. I don't really like this weapon at all. Elephant Gun. I would say this weapon's average. It does pretty nice damage, but it's 2 shots, so you have to reload a lot. So I want to put this in C tier. Elementaler. This gun's S tier. And the fact that you can get this every run is kind of busted, and it's one of the reasons why doing Rat is so broken. Elementaler is so good because the damage is like certainly very good, and also the cheese effect basically just trivializes all rooms. If you have this gun, you basically can turn your brain off for basically all the rooms in the game. It's not that useful in bosses because it doesn't do that much damage. It still slows them, which is nice, so it's still usable, but this gun just makes all the rooms just like non-existent. Evolver, this gun's very good. The last few forms of this gun are just really strong. The dragon and the lizard are very good. The early forms are not very good, but it's really easy to get past all the early forms, and the late forms are very strong, so I'm gonna put this in A. Excalibur, this weapon's B tier. This weapon does decent damage, and the ability to reflect the bullets, or just delete the bullets, is really strong defensively. If you're ever in danger, you just tap the reload, and it's basically like a Blasphemy Junior, but it's just okay. I mean, the damage is good, but the defensive ability is really strong as well. I had the Holster. I'm gonna put this gun in C tier. The damage is pretty nice. It's not amazing. It's just okay. And then the reload effect, where you get the BD, is also okay. But overall, it doesn't do as much damage as a lot of the better B tiers. Face Melter. This gun's pretty good. On really fat bosses like Rat or Beholster, for example, you can often get like the double amp stack, and it does pretty insane damage if you could get all of the hits. So I would like this gun a lot. I would say it's B tier. Fight Saber. This gun's S tier for sure. Probably one of my favorite guns in the game. It's just you reflect all the bullets back when you're reloading it, and the reload animation is really long. It's really strong. I really like this gun. In the latest update, Finished Gun, this gun's absolutely broken. Probably maybe the strongest gun in the game. Probably stronger than Black Hole Gun, honestly. This is probably like the best gun in the game. It has so much ammo, and it reflects all the bullets back. It's basically a Fight Saber plus Black Hole Gun, and then it does a ton of damage as well, and it's a ton of ammo. This gun's probably the best gun in the game. It's just insane. Firehand. I'm gonna put this in B tier. It's pretty good. It's got piercing. It sets enemies on fire. Sometimes though, if you get like a lot of bullet upgrades that are too fat, this won't fit through like tight corridors. But other than that, Firehand's pretty good. Flare gun. It's below average. It's like a good one-shot ability, then you switch to a different gun. But all it really does is set enemies on fire. So I mean, it's not useless. It's certainly not bad, like the worst gun. But I mean, it's just a utility gun that could be a lot stronger. Flash Ray. This gun's pretty bad, I'd say. I'm gonna put this in D tier. It does have piercing, so I mean that's not terrible. It's a usable early game gun. Not really much else to say about it. Fossilized gun. This gun's also not useless, but it's also not great. So being able to set the whole room on fire is pretty nice sometimes, but it also puts you in danger. And that being said, it's just not amazing. Freeze Ray. I'm gonna put this in A tier, I think. It's one of the lower end A tiers, I'd say. Freeze Ray is pretty good. It's great at room clearing. It's not that useful in bosses because bosses can't be frozen, and after a while, slow kind of just wears off. But other than that, it's a pretty good room clearer. It's very safe to use. It just runs out of ammo a little fast. Frost Giant, I think this weapon's B tier. It does pretty great damage. The slow effect is also nice, but you have to be in melee range for it. The only drawback to this gun is that it has like no ammo, so it runs out really fast. Gamma Ray, this gun's average. It's a beam, which is nice, and it poisons, so I would say it's okay. The damage is just not that great. Gilded Hydra, this gun I'm gonna say is D tier. So this gun is the gimmick of this gun is if you take damage, red heart damage, then you get extra shots in the magazine. But in order to use this gun well, you have to be pretty damaged to get a nice magazine size, and being damaged to use a gun is just generally not a good state to be in. So I'm gonna say this gun's D tier. Glacier, this gun's pretty okay. It freezes enemies, it does explosions, it's okay damage. It's just low ammo, but it's just a pretty good gun. Glass Cannon, I'm gonna say it's A tier. So this gun is I think B tier or C tier, but it breaks the damage cap and it does insane damage. The catch is that if you get hit, kind of like Balloon Gun, you lose all the ammo. Generally that's fine though because you can charge this gun and then if you know you're about to get hit, you can generally switch really fast. And this gun just does crazy damage and it's just pretty good. Grass Chopper, this gun is okay, I guess. I'm gonna put this in C tier. It's a good opener, I guess, but really it has like very little ammo. It doesn't do the most damage. It's just okay. Grenade launcher, this gun's pretty good, I'd say. Actually, it doesn't have that much ammo, so I want to put this in C tier. It's a good opener. It has decent reload rate. You can shoot it pretty quickly. It's good for rooms, but it runs out of ammo really fast. Grey Mauser, this gun's A tier. The gun itself isn't that strong, but then again, you get the steal effect where you turn visible and you get to steal whatever items you want from the shop. That effect is incredibly powerful, so I want to put that in A tier. Gunbow, this gun's average. It's kind of like the other treasure weapons where it's decent, but it takes a little too long. Gunder Fury, this gun is S tier for sure. So if you level this up fully, this gun is just absolutely insane. You can basically just play the whole game and this gun melts everything. It's just really good. Gungeon, I'm gonna put this in C tier, or actually I'm gonna put this in D tier. It's really hard to use the oil effect. Well, it's kind of like fossilized gun, but it's more useful. It's a little safer to use, but it does like very little damage as well. So I'm gonna put this in D. Gungeon, I want to put this gun in A. This gun is really strong and it's really good. It has a lot of ammo. You're generally not gonna run out of ammo for this weapon, but it's definitely high A, like up here. Like if I were to rank this like individually among the tiers, but this is probably like one of the best A tiers. I'm not gonna put this in S tier because I don't think it's like game breakingly strong. It's just really strong. This is Gunner, I think. I can't really tell. I think this is Gunner. This weapon is, in my experience, really bad. It does very little damage. I think I read on the wiki that it heals you if you take damage while holding it for ammo. So I guess that utility is okay. I guess I'll put this in C. But this gun just does so little damage that you're never really going to want to use this gun. So there's not really any reason to have it out, I guess. Gunslinger's Ashes. This gun is, I'm going to say, B tier. It doesn't really do anything initially, but it spawns a bunch of like ghosts that help you out. Thing is, it doesn't do anything like at the start. So if you're in a room that needs like a lot of enemies to be killed really quickly, this gun's not really going to help you out. It's okay in bosses as well. It does decent damage, but certainly not like the best weapon. Gunther, this weapon's S tier. It just does insane damage. It's got homing, infinite ammo. Yeah, a lot of these guns are infinite ammo pistols. So this pistol and this pistol are both infinite ammo, and then basically these two guns are just broken because they're infinite ammo. If they weren't infinite ammo, they wouldn't be good at all, or they wouldn't be like that broken. But because they have infinite ammo, you can just use them as your gun for the rest of the game. So that's why they're like really broken. Gunzang, this gun's really good. I want to put this in B tier. On fat enemies especially, it's really great. And then it's pretty inaccurate, but it's still usable in a lot of rooms, especially in big rooms. So it's pretty nice, B tier. Hammer, this gun's pretty good. Just great damage. Heck Blaster, this gun's also really nice. The ability to remove the jammed effect from enemies is really nice if you're doing like a cursed run, because a lot of the tankier enemies, if they're jammed, are really painful to deal with, and enemies that run you down are really tough to deal with. So Heck Blaster is a pretty nice utility weapon. Hegemony Carbine, this weapon's average. It's decent DPS, but not amazing. Also goes for the rifle. Helix is decent. It's kind of annoying to use, but the damage is alright. Heroine, this gun is A tier. The charge effect is really good. It's really safe to use because you can just charge behind a wall and shoot, and it does a ton of damage. So I'm gonna put this in A tier. It's super ammo efficient. This gun is probably like, this gun has enough ammo to clear like 3 floors without any ammo drops. It's really good. Hexagon, it's pretty nice. Very accurate. The polymorph effect is really strong if their enemies are really tanky, and it does really good damage, so it kills most basic enemies. So that's B tier. I forgot what this gun's called. It's called Caliber or something. This weapon has really, really high damage. I'm going to put this in A tier because it's just really good. It has 111 bullets, I think, and on bosses, it can be a little hard to use, but if you can hit the ghosts, it does just ridiculous damage, so I'll put this in A tier. Huntsman, this weapon's pretty good. It's similar to Excalibur, except that it's a shotgun, so I would say they're like pretty similar. Hyperlight Blaster, this weapon's really strong if you're accurate. So if you miss with this gun a lot, then I would say this gun's like probably C or D tier, honestly. But if you hit your shots, this weapon is one of the best. It's basically an infinite ammo pistol that does insane damage. So A tier for sure. It melts bosses like instantly. Icebreaker, this weapon's pretty good. The freeze effect is really great for clearing. It keeps you safe so enemies can't shoot back at you, and the final bullet does a lot of damage. JK-47, this weapon's really bad. It's just worse than the AK in every way, and it does like no damage. I hate this gun. It's terrible. Jolter, this weapon's decent. It's got pretty nice damage. It's got good, okay accuracy. It's just a pretty above average weapon. Club, this weapon's terrible. This weapon's terrible. Terrible spread, terrible damage, super long reload. I mean, you would never want to use this gun. This gun's terrible. Knight's gun. This weapon is A tier after the nerfs, so it's really strong. You can get a lot of free drops, but they did nerf it quite a bit. Before it was obviously like S tier, probably the best weapon in the game, but now it's just a really good gun. It's A tier, I'd say. All the free money and just drops you can get from this weapon are just really strong. Crueler Glaive, I want to put this in B tier. It has good CC, it can stun enemies, it does okay damage, it's okay. Laser Lotus, I would say this is A tier. It's really strong, good damage, piercing, it's just low ammo. Laser Rifle, I want to put C tier, it's just average. This is probably like Laser Rifle is probably like the textbook definition of what I would consider like an average weapon. It's just okay. Life Orb, I'm going to put this in B tier. It's pretty good. I don't think it's A tier just because it doesn't do like insane damage. It's a pretty good room clear. What it does is if you kill an enemy by like using the life orb on them, you can press R and it'll do like a pretty decent amount of damage to all the enemies in the room. So it's pretty good on larger rooms, but it's a little slow sometimes, and sometimes it can be difficult to target the low health enemies because it kind of auto targets the nearest enemy for you. So I'm gonna put this in B. Light gun, I'm gonna put this in C tier. It's okay. You're only really using it for the last bullet, which is like the egg. That's the only part of the gun that does like a ton of damage. Little Bomber. This gun is pretty good. Not really for rooms, but it's free secret room entrances, and that means you just save blinks. If you have King Bomber, which is kind of rare, but sometimes it's just like you get enough money to buy whatever you want for the rest of the run. So I want to put this in B tier. Lowercase R. This gun is pretty good. The reason for that is it's not good on its own, but there's so many synergies for this gun that you're very likely to get a synergy on it, and synergies on this gun are really good because they basically double the damage, and then each shot does 5 damage, so it basically brings it to an AK level, and it's very strong at that point because it has so much ammo as well. It lasts you basically for the rest of the run. Luxing Cannon, I would say it's average. It's pretty good. It just does not do quite as much damage as you would like. M16, it's pretty nice. I'm gonna put this in A tier. The grenade effect is really strong. It's got good AOE. The explosions are nice. They can destroy enemy bullets, and it's just good damage. This is M1911. It's not the best pistol, but I mean it's okay. I would say it's D tier. M1, I would say it's average. It falls off really hard after the first floor, because in the first floor it can one-shot enemies. One-shot bullet can, but after that it doesn't do like the most damage, I would say. So it's usable, but certainly not the best. I think this is Mac 10. Mac 10's okay. I want to put this in B tier. It has a pretty nice amount of ammo, and it does pretty nice damage, so I want to put this in B tier. It's definitely one of the lower end B tiers, I'd say, but you're pretty happy getting this weapon. Robot Hand, I would say this is also B tier. So this weapon is actually like pretty good, but it has very little ammo because the rocket I think takes like a lot of the ammo, and it's okay, but I don't think it's one of the best weapons. It's probably like high B tier, but I don't think it quite cuts the A tier. Machine pistol. This is very similar to Mac 10. I want to put this in B tier. It's one of the lower end B tiers, I'd say, slash high end C tiers, but it's a little worse than Mac 10, but it's pretty good for the same reasons. Magic lamp. This gun's really good. This gun does a ton of damage. It's great for killing bosses, and in general, it's just really strong. I think this is Magnum. Magnum's okay. It does good damage. It's just you have to reload a lot because it doesn't have a very large magazine size. Mahogany. This gun's pretty good. It's very ammo efficient. The explosions are really nice. It's good for clearing rooms. I like this weapon. Mailbox. It's below average, I'd say. It doesn't do any damage except for the last bullet. I think this is Makarov. This gun is pretty bad. It doesn't do very much damage at all. It's pretty bad. Makeshift cannon. This weapon's just absolutely broken. It's basically kill a boss for free, and if you get a free reload, which you probably will, like it's pretty likely you'll get ammo before the next floor. This gun basically makes it so you don't have to fight bosses. Like there's no bosses in the game with this gun. It's also free master rounds. Like this gun is just like, it's not even fair. Mass shotgun, it's B tier. It's really hard to use the bullet spread effect of it. I would say, it's okay, but it's really hard to use the shotgun part of it very well. It's pretty good, but certainly better shotguns, I think. Mega Dowser, I think it's C tier. So Mega Dowser has a lot of uses. The water effect is nice. It's an okay beam. It has a lot of ammo, but it doesn't really do much damage. It's a pretty good utility weapon, I'd say, though. You're not really that unhappy to get this gun. Mega Hand, it's really good for the same reasons as Heroin. I think this is better than Heroin, actually, because it's a lot faster, and generally the damage of the charge shot is enough to one-shot a lot of the intermediate enemies, so I think this is just like a little bit faster and better than Heroin. Microtransaction gun, this gun is like garbage. So this gun costs money to shoot, which is like the joke of it, but like generally your money is like kind of valuable because you need it to buy a lot of things like keys or just better weapons or items that you see that are really nice. And this gun costs one like casing to shoot. Generally, you don't have infinite money, so you don't really have that much money, so you can't really afford to use this gun. And yeah, it's just bad. It's really funny though. This weapon's really funny. Mining laser, I think it's average. It's okay. I mean, it doesn't do the most damage. It's just usable. Molotov launcher, this gun's pretty bad. The Molotov effect just isn't very strong, and yeah, I mean, it just doesn't do very much. Moonscraper, I'd say it's average. It's a beam that reflects. You can use it to kill enemies behind walls if you're safe, if you want to be safe, but it doesn't really do that much damage, and the ammo is like pretty nice, I guess, but it could be better. Is this Morningstar, I think? This weapon's pretty good. The beam is like really strong. I would say this weapon's kind of like Disintegrator, but I would say it's a little better though, because it's a little faster, and also it's just like a lot cooler, so I'll put this in A tier. Mr. Accretion Jr., this weapon's pretty good. You can get a lot of status effects out of it, and it's okay. Mutation, also B tier. It's a decent beam. Nail gun, this gun's really bad. I'm gonna put this in an F tier actually. It just does very little damage, and you have to get really close to enemies to really hit them, so it's not good. Old Goldie, they buffed this weapon in the last update, so it had like no ammo before, but now it's got like a decent amount of ammo, and it does great damage, so I'll put this in A. Origami, this gun's okay. I want to put this in B tier, probably one of the low end B tiers. It's really easy to get maps in this game, which increase the damage by a good amount, I think. And also, I think if you get a table tech, I don't know if it's a table tech, but the synergies like for this gun is like not hard to get, and it does pretty nice damage, and it follows your cursor, so it's kind of like a remote bullets. It's pretty good. Particulator, it's a really strong A tier gun, so it's S tier I think, according to like the tier, like the chests, but it certainly is a good gun, but I don't think it warrants like, I don't think it carries you. It won't win you the run, but it is very strong. Patriot, also A tier. This gun has very high damage on bosses. It's pretty great. I wouldn't use this on rooms though. It's got pretty nice ammo. Yeah, it's just an okay boss killer. Pea shooter, this gun's garbage. it doesn't do damage and it takes too long to reload. Phoenix, this gun's pretty bad. It does like no damage. The fire effect is like the best thing about it. Pitchfork, it's average. It's kind of like a worse fire. It's like a worse flame hand, in my opinion. It shoots faster, but it does less damage, I think. Plague pistol, this gun's C tier. It's okay. Use it for the poison. Plunger, also C tier. It's okay. It's a beam, so it's not bad, but you use it for the poison. Polaris, so in the right hands, Polaris is an A tier, because if you can get it to the max level, the one-shot potential is really strong. It basically one-shots 1 to 2 shots every enemy in the game, apart from bosses, obviously. The only thing is that you just can't get hit with it. If you can level this to level 3 though, you're going to be clearing rooms so fast that you basically won't get hit. So in the right hands, this is probably A tier, almost S tier, honestly. Box cannon, I like this weapon a lot. It's kind of like, I thought this was like a bigger pea shooter, but apparently these are like poison t-shirts or something. So I'm going to put this in B tier. It's pretty good damage. The poison effect is nice as well. Proton backpack, good B tier. Very strong beam, good for bosses. Pretty strong in general. Prototype railgun, I want to put this in B tier. The fact that it doesn't bounce is pretty bad. I would use it as like an opener to a room, and it basically one-shots any basic enemy, so it's okay. But it's really not that great in terms of like potential for anything else other than that. I wouldn't really use it in bosses either because I actually think the DPS is pretty low because it takes so long to charge and reload. Pulse cannon, I think it's an okay. I would say it's like low B or high T tier or high C tier. I think it's got the same stats as like normal shotgun. It's just okay. Quad laser, it's pretty bad. The damage is really high, but it's really hard to use well. It's just not very good. Rad gun, this gun's A tier if you know how to reload it. This gun has insane damage if you have good reload timing. And even if you don't want to reload it, you can use the passive reload and it does a lot of damage still. It's pretty good. Raiding coil, this weapon's A tier. This weapon's super fun. I like this weapon a lot. It just kills all the enemies in the room, basically. It's really good for room clearing. It's got decent ammo. I like this weapon. Railgun, this weapon's really good. I would say it's S tier. One of the lower S tiers, I'd say though. It basically one-shots. It doesn't one-shot, but it basically hits the DPS cap on bosses really quickly. It bounces all over the place, so if you want to use it for rooms as well, it's not that bad. It's certainly one of the best guns in the game though. It just does insane damage, and it's very strong. Rattler, I'd say it's B tier. It's basically a shotgun with poison on it, so I would say it's better than like the average shotgun, and it's just pretty nice. Shotguns in general in this game are pretty good, so for Rattler to be like better than that, it's a pretty great gun. RC rocket, I would say it's A tier, just insane damage. The fact that it follows your cursor is really great too. I forget what this is called. It's like it buffs your companions. This gun is like really bad. Honestly, almost F tier. If you have companions, I guess that's okay, but on its own, it does like very little. It does like no damage. I guess the only good thing I would say about this is that it's good for finding secret rooms, but other than that, it's really bad. Regular shotgun. This gun's good. Yeah, it's just good damage. It's very ammo efficient. I like it. Robots, left hand or right hand? I think it's left hand. This gun's pretty nice. Good damage, high ammo. Not much else to say about it. It's good. RPG. This weapon's average. It's good opener. It's got good damage. It's just really slow to reload. It's not really useful past the first shot. This gun, Rubinstein's Mark II, I think. It's decent, I guess. The damage isn't amazing. It's got good fire rate though. I would say it's average, or it's above average. The Mark I's a little bit low. It does a little less damage, and it's not quite as good. Is this SAA? I think this is like an average pistol. It's okay. I think it's SAA. It's like a really fast pistol. It's pretty good. I think the ammo count is pretty low, if I remember correctly though. So I would just use it for. I guess you can use it for bosses or rooms. It's just okay. Sawed off. This gun's not that great. It's okay, but certainly there's a lot better guns. It's pretty nice for an early gun though. It's good at killing like a lot of the early rooms, and it's usable late game too if you're comfortable getting close to the enemies. But ideally you would have better guns to use. I just like using this weapon a lot because I like getting close to enemies. Science cannon. This gun's B tier. You get a lot of cool effects out of this, and it does pretty nice damage. So I'll put this in B tier. Screecher, I hate this weapon. This weapon's god awful. It does no damage, and I mean it looks really cool, but it's just useless, man. Serious Cannon, I want to put this in probably high B tier. So if I was ranking it among the tiers, this would go in the high B tier. It's pretty good, but it could be better. It's a decent charge weapon. It does good bounces. It's kind of like Railgun, but like a lot worse. It's still pretty nice though. It doesn't have the most ammo, is the problem as well. Shades Revolver, it's pretty nice. You get coolness out of it. For that alone, it's pretty good. The damage is pretty nice too, so B tier. Shell Gun, I want to put this in average. Don't like the DPS really that much. Oh, we still have a lot of guns to go. Shell, this weapon is pretty nice. I'll put it in B tier. It does good damage. It's an above average shotgun, I'd say. Shock Rifle, I would say this is also B tier. It's just good damage. Not much else to say about it, really. Shockbow, this gun's C tier, I think, in my opinion. It's really slow. The damage is okay, but you have to reload a lot because it only has 3 shots per, and it could do more damage for how much downtime you have to spend reloading it and stuff like that. Shot Grub, I would say this is a weapon C tier. The spread is really high, but it poisons enemies. But really, it's not that great, so it's C tier. Shotgun Full of Hate and Shotgun Full of Love, these weapons are both A tier. On their own, they do a lot of damage, and the status effects are pretty strong as well. I would say that the Love Shotgun is a little bit better than the Hate Shotgun, just because the Hate Shotgun, the poison pools can hurt you sometimes, and the Love Shotgun, they do similar damage. The Love Shotgun just has a little bit more utility, so they're both really strong though. I forget what this gun's called. It's like a pillow, I think, right? But it's okay. I would say it's B tier actually. The damage is alright. It can stun enemies. It's certainly not terrible. I like it. Siren, I want to put this in B tier as well. It's kind of like regular shotgun, but a little bit better, I think. And also, a lot of people don't know this, but if you hold it, you are immune to fall damage. So if you're like next to a pit and you're about to take damage, you can just step into the pit and you will not take any damage, and you'll get some iframes when you come back up. Or not iframes, but you can dodge the attacks just by jumping off cliffs. Skull Splitter, I want to put this in C tier. It's a pretty nice gun, I guess. It just doesn't do as much damage as I'd like, in my opinion. Sling, this weapon's A tier. It's super ammo efficient. You can use it to kill pretty much any boss. It's just very good. One of the best D tiers for sure. Smiley's Revolver, it's in the same league as Shades Revolver. The discount's pretty nice, and it does pretty nice damage. It's better than Shades Revolver damage-wise, but I don't think the effect is quite as good. Both these pistols are pretty great utility-wise and damage-wise, though, so I'd say B tier. Snakemaker, this gun's really good. It does pretty nice damage, and the fact that it can transmogrify enemies into like snakes is really strong, so also A tier. Sniper Rifle, it's pretty good, I guess. It's got great range. You can outrange most enemies with it. Does okay damage. It's alright. Snowballer, it's average. It doesn't really need any damage. The snowball effect is nice though. It's good for rims if you don't have anything better. It's just kind of slow. Staff of Firepower, I want to put this in B tier. It does okay damage. It's just average, I'd say. It's a little bit above average in terms of damage, but apart from that, it's not super amazing. Star Pew, I would say it's A tier. So it was really bad before. I really hated this gun, but they buffed it a ton in the latest update. It's really fast now. So the damage is really nice. So definitely A tier. Sticky Crossbow, it's pretty strong. Put this in B tier. The explosions are really powerful, and it has pretty nice ammo efficiency on it. Plus, you can choose to detonate the explosions whenever you want by reloading. So if you know a boss is about to do like a big bullet attack, if you detonate this at the right time, it'll blow up all the bullets, so it's pretty nice. Stinger, I would say it's B tier. It's pretty strong. I'll use it. You can use it to shoot and then swap to a different gun, and it's got good damage. You can kind of just shoot and then forget about it because the bees do a pretty nice amount of damage for you, so you don't have to worry about it at all. Stonehead is pretty good. The homing bullets are really nice. You can just hold left click and then focus on dodging instead. This is like, I used this gun in bullet hell when I first got there, and it carried me all the way to Lich. So this gun is really nice. You can just sit behind a wall and shoot. It's pretty good. Strafe gun, I'm also going to put this in B tier. So this gun is like an S tier weapon, I think, but it really does like not that much damage. I think the bullets do like 1 and the explosions do like 8 or something. So it's only like 9 damage a shot. It's really not that great, I'd say. for an S tier gun. It's still like a pretty good gun overall though, so B tier. Sunlight Javelin, it's pretty nice. It's kind of similar to Mega Hand or Heroine, where it basically one shots all the medium enemies, but it doesn't do quite as much damage and it's a little slower, so I'm gonna say B tier. Super Meat Gun, A tier. The free heart container is really nice. It basically is a free heart container on its own, and then the fact that it's a really strong gun is also really nice, so A tier. T-shirt cannon, it's C tier. It's very average. Rectangular is pretty good. It does great damage. I would say it's a little better than regular shotgun. I think, anecdotally, I think it does a little bit more damage. I'm not actually sure, but it's pretty nice. Teapot, I think this gun's pretty weak. It doesn't really do any damage. The fire effect is kind of hard to use well. It's not really that amazing. Tearjerker, this weapon's really bad. It's just really hard to aim. I know it's supposed to be like a Binding of Isaac thing. It's a Binding of Isaac reference, but in Gungeon, it doesn't do enough damage, and it's really awkward in a game where you can shoot in all directions. So E tier for sure. Detrominator, this gun's okay. I'll put it in C tier. It does okay damage. It's just it could do more. It's just okay. The Emperor, it's okay. It's just a decent damage gun. Exotic, I would say it's A tier. The fact that you can see what items you're getting is really nice, and if you are short on keys, this helps you a lot. It does okay damage as well. It's pretty good. Fat line, I would say it's B tier. It's useful in a lot of situations. If you want to hide behind walls to not take damage, it's okay. If you want to play safe, it is okay. The Judge, also B tier. It's a nice shot. It's a nice pistol. It does good damage, good ammo. The Kiln, I've like almost never gotten this weapon, but I think from what I've seen, it's okay. It's just like very average damage weapon. The Membrane, it's B tier. This weapon is okay. It doesn't do that much damage, or it doesn't do the most damage, but it shoots pretty fast and it shoots a lot of bullets out, so it's pretty great for clean rooms. This gun is the Predator, I think. It's A tier. It's really nice damage. It's auto aim and it's got free stealing because you get invisibility. So for all those reasons, it's a very, very strong A tier. Scrambler is very good. You can shoot and forget about it. It does great damage. B tier. Tommy gun, I would say C tier. It's okay. It does decent damage. It's alright. Thunderclap. Thunderclaps, I would say B tier. A lot of these guns fall under like the category of it does good damage and it shoots bullets. It just most of these guns fall under that category. So that a lot of the B tiers are just like guns that do pretty nice damage. So that's why I keep saying I find myself repeating myself a lot. So, but yeah. Trank gun, this gun is average, doesn't do that much damage. Trash cannon, this gun is really bad, but this is an E tier or an F tier. It's just not very useful. The synergy is like pretty bad as well, and it doesn't have any impact really. Trick gun, I think. This trick gun. It's average. The shotgun doesn't do that much damage, and the pistol itself is like okay. Trident, I would say it's C tier. It doesn't do that much damage. The piercing is nice, but it's not that great. It's kind of just okay. Triple crossbow is really nice. The slow effect and the triple crossbow both do a ton of damage. The slow effect or the triple crossbow does a ton of damage, and the slow effect is really nice for bosses and just clearing rooms in general. So it's pretty nice. Triple gun. This gun is really bad in the first form, but it's really good in the second two forms. So if you're patient, this gun is, I would say, pretty nice. B tier. Turbo gun. This gun's pretty bad, I'd say. It doesn't do much damage. Unfinished gun. F tier. So if you finish the Ammonomicon, it replaces this gun with the finished gun, which is all the way up here. So, I mean, that's a big change. Until then, though, this gun is just really bad. I wouldn't recommend using this. Unicorn horn. This weapon's like average, I guess. The song is like the best part about it, but it's really not that great. Vertebrae, very solid weapon. The Void Core Assault Rifle, solid, good DPS. It's okay. Void Core Cannon, I'm also gonna put in B. I actually don't like this weapon like that much. I guess it's alright, but I don't know. I just haven't seen like the appeal in this weapon that much. I'm not really a huge fan. Void Marshal, it's pretty nice. It's a good DPS weapon. Void Shotgun, basically the same thing. I think it's got the same stats as the normal shotgun essentially. It just looks cooler, but yeah, it's pretty good. Vorpal Gun, I want to put this in C tier. Unless you have a lot of coolness, the random effect isn't going to come in that often, and without the like big shot, it's not really that strong, so C tier. Vulcan Cannon, it's really good. It's kind of like similar to the robot's left hand. They're both just very high fire rate, good DPS weapons. Winchester. This weapon is pretty nice. I would say it's a little better than the regular shotgun, so B tier. Winchester rifle. This weapon's okay. It falls off pretty hard after the early levels though. Wind-up gun. So I think this gun's okay. A lot of people don't like this gun because you have to reload it a lot, but the first half of the magazine is piercing and it does pretty nice damage. So honestly, it's a pretty good gun. Piercing is a very powerful ability for most guns, and a lot of guns don't have that. So I like wind-up gun a lot more. It's all right. Witch pistol, C tier. It's kind of like a way worse bundle of wands. It just doesn't do much damage, and it's kind of hard to get the transmogrify effect more reliably. So it's not that good. Wood beam. This weapon's really bad. It's funny though. So Yari launcher, S tier for sure. For a similar reason to the makeshift cannon, it's just melts bosses. Makeshift cannon's a lot better because it actually just one-shots them. Yari launcher is pretty good. On high-end bosses, it'll do like half their health or like 70% of their health, but it won't kill them. So it still trivializes bosses a pretty good amount though. So good. All right, and moving on. So we have Zorgun. So I would say this weapon is not A tier. It's a decent shotgun, but other than that, I don't think it's that great. The charge effect isn't really good because you use up all of the ammo. So if you're going to use the charge effect, you should shoot it until you have the last bullet and then use the charge effect, but it still uses up a lot of ammo, and it's really not that strong compared to just spamming it, so I would just spam it. And then finally we have the Zorgun. So Zorgun is okay. I would say it's an A tier. It's pretty similar to Robot's Left Hand and the Vulcan Cannon in that it shoots really fast, and it just has pretty good DPS. The only difference is that Zorgun is homing and it has an extra projectile at the end. So if you care about focusing on dodging more and not aiming it, like not taking the time to aim, and also the extra effect can be pretty nice as well because you get you can get a stun effect, or you can get like a grenade which will destroy enemy bullets and it will protect you a little bit sometimes. So I guess it's got that going for it. In terms of like strength though, I would say it's pretty similar to these other A tier guns. So yeah, it's A tier. And then finally, I should probably move this. I would probably put this in B tier as well because this gun statistically I think is the same pretty much as the regular shotgun. So in general, shotguns are pretty good in this game. You'll notice that I put most of the shotguns in the upper tiers. So shotguns are just pretty strong, I think. And I think these guns just loop now. These are just the same guns I already did. So I think this should be the full tier list. Yeah, so I think this is the completed tier list. So if you guys have any questions or want to comment on what you think should be in the correct tier list, you can feel free to comment. And I'm going to include the link to what I used to make this tier list in the description below. So if you guys want to make your own tier lists, feel free. Yeah, and thank you for watching. See you.